Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Centric. This being a show where I talk about TV shows that are crime dramas. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about Obituary Season 1, Episode 3. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. Okay, so the fact is that Elvira was seeing Veronica was interesting to me, and it's like, well, it's not like even Veronica was. I guess it was a recency thing because I'm like, why are you seeing her and only her? You didn't see like Sandy or anything. You also didn't see the guy that Mal was sleeping with that she intended to kill but forgot to switch the medication back, so he accidentally died even though she initially intended for him to die. So, but I guess it's like Veronica's the most recent person, so maybe that's why. I'm about to say she never felt any guilt over it, so I was like, is this her subconscious? Because she has battled back and forth. Because I had forgotten to talk about it. There was that conversation last episode about, monsters. It come up a little bit, and it came up more in this episode too. Of Elvira is kind of doing everything she can to dance around the like term monster. It's like, no, I'm not a monster. I'm just doing kind of what I have to do. Like she tried to almost like spin it like, if anyone else had my like need, anyone else, giving into their needs, how's that any different from me? Essentially, it's just that your need literally involves you killing people. So, there's the major difference. But Elvira's in denial about it because she doesn't want to view herself as a monster, because she's also been viewed as off or weird her entire life. So this is just kind of a more extreme extension of that. And I think a lot of that upbringing, like being like viewed a certain way, has just kind of made her once again even more in denial about this circumstance. But obviously a lot of Elvira's story revolves around the kid from last episode who confronted Elvira, and we find out his name is Dennis. And so I had my theories last episode of what he wanted from her. Was he blackmailing her? Did he want to become like her? It's like, turns out in the long run, he wanted her to do what she did to Sandy and hurt someone. Turns out the person he wanted to hurt was himself. I was like, interesting. Wasn't expecting that development, but it's like, why? Turns out he got catfished by someone he knows from school who is now blackmailing him, and he's basically taking all the money that should be going towards his college fund. Every bit of money he earns is being given to this guy. His name is Ocean. Turns out he's Mallory's cousin. So it's like, cool. So it's hitting very close to home, because it's like, well, if you're not going to hurt me, at least maybe you could do something. Wondering, can she do something about this person? Because she justifies it like, right, I don't do kids, I just do full-grown adults who suck, yada yada yada. So she's threatening to because she lucked out that Dennis is 17, so she's like, okay, good, he's still technically a minor, so okay, I don't have to feel bad about it. But she find out that Oshin is like 18, so it's like, crap, okay, I can't use my loophole in this situation. It's like, it is weird. It's like, you are the one that creates your own rules, so it is weird for you to, I mean, once again, that's kind of that serial killer thing of like, everyone's kind of got their weird code. Once again, keep making the parallels to Dexter. It's like, Dexter had his code and Elvira has hers as well. So she's kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place, because she doesn't want to kill Oshin because of what it would do to Mallory, because Mallory's been her best friend since they were kids. And yes, Oshin's kind of not the greatest person, but he's someone that Mallory cares about. I mean, Mallory goes to bat for people she cares about. She goes to bat for her cousin just like she would go bat for Elvira, which she has. So she's stuck in that complicated spot. She's also got the whole situation of Dennis will start tweeting out stuff again until there's nothing left to tweet out about Sandy. So she's, kind of stuck in that situation as well, and can't really go back to the whole killing him thing again, because he doesn't actually want to die. I mean, now she's kind of made that clear when she tried to drown him at the pool by being like, see, you're fighting like crazy, meaning you don't want to actually die. It's just, he's being blackmailed and extorted, and he's being put through hell, and it's kind of taking its toll on him. I mean, his extra reason for doing it too, his mom being super religious. It's Ireland, so I'd assume Catholic. But because like suicide isn't like, if you commit suicide, you go to hell in Catholicism. Once again, there's probably other religions where that's true. It's just I'm only basing this. I think this has popped up in other stuff, but I want to say the movie Constantine was the first time I'd ever heard that notion. Either way, So that's why he kind of went about such a roundabout way to harm himself. Once again, to make it, he wanted it to look like an accident, not an actual suicide. So now, but once again, that's kind of been removed from the board. But what changed Elvira's tune was the fact is that because she felt like she was so focused on Dennis and his BS that she wasn't there for her dad when he needed her. So we'll circle over to Ward's side of things later, but that ended up making her confront Dennis, and it's like, all right, we'll deal with Ocean. Basically, he's afraid of the water, so basically we're going to get him liquored up, get him out in the middle of the water, and he's screwed. I just, but it's like, well, he can drink, so they put some pills in it that would ultimately knock him out. I mean, even Dennis, even at the last second, you could tell he wasn't fully on board with all of this. Was the fact is that he tried to say, like, hey, like, before you even take a drink, like, let's just actually talk this out. But he was like, no, I don't want to listen. Fuck off. Let me drink in peace. So got drunk. Elvira had already prepared the boat, pumped a hole in it, brought Ocean it, put him in it, and sent it sailing. And at the last second, remember, damn it, I never got my money back. The money I gave to him, gave to Dennis to give to Ocean. It's like, right, you're about to kill the guy. I guess it's like the last thing on your mind, because it's not, well, the money's necessary because it's not just about, well, it is about just like living, because it's like, yeah, you need your personal satisfaction of killing people, but you still need to make money on the side, because that's also how you make money. It's all, God, it feels weird to use that word, I guess incestuous, I guess, or reciprocal, like all of it is, I guess would be the more appropriate word to say in that particular regard, but once again, it kind of shows you the priorities of, yes, she makes money, but money is the secondary thing, because first and foremost, it's about getting that sweet, sweet relief of a kill. The guy's not even dead. You just set up this long plan to kill him because the boat's filling up with water and he's knocked out in the boat. But yeah, probably would have been better off if you'd stuck around to actually make sure the job was done, but I guess you also don't want to take the chance someone might be nearby. You don't want to be around again and get witnessed by someone like you got witnessed by Dennis. So Elvira felt good, and she thought that when she ran into Mallory again, Mal's going to need someone to be her support. I got to act like I don't know, got to be there to support her when she, tells me to write Ocean's obituary. But it's no, she needs to write the obituary of a dog, was it Rocco? The dog, the whole pork chop thing earlier in the episode. It's like, yeah, he caught it, ate the pork chop, and died. I was like, wow. It's like, man, Mallory's like really terrible at her jobs, because she got fired from the babysitting gig she had last episode because that whole thing blew up in her face. Essentially, she was teaching the little wankers to like steal. And I mean, to be fair, like, I think she was probably trying to expand her operational. I don't know. Either she was just teaching them how to do it on their own, because it's like the little kids, people won't notice their little grubby little fingers when they're grabbing stuff. But I think that was probably more so for her because she's the klepto. I don't know if it's hard to say if she like steals stuff actually just to steal stuff, because maybe just like Elvira's kind of got the whole killing thing, like Mal's kind of got the thing for just stealing stuff, which that plays a role in this episode, which we'll get to later, or whether she's planning on eventually like fencing all that. It's like she has a whole bunch of stuff in that room, as we find out later on, so I'm like, she must be just keeping it to keep it. Like, why haven't you fenced anything now if that's the case? But anyway, Elvira walks into Huey's office and finds Ocean there, which I love that she's immediately like, wait, you can see him, right? It's like, right. I'm once again still surprised that Veronica, for one, only was in the beginning of the episode, and that she's the only one that's kind of popped up in her. Because I also forgot, that is, well, I was going to say no. I'm about to say, like, well, at least Veronica was the one that you were a little more hands-on with. But I was like, no, you pushed Sandy. I mean, technically you pushed Sandy twice. You pushed him the first time, and then you saved him. But then you pushed him again. So it's like, but you were still directly involved in that one. So I was like, no. I mean, I guess it's like pushing someone over the cliff versus like literally setting the situation up to hang them, maybe a little different. So maybe that's why that one in particular. But also maybe it's like, oh yeah, I sucked, but I wasn't that bad of a person. Once again, the people she's killed kind of sucky, but they're not like truly horrible human beings. She's just finding anyone that's kind of slightly questionably people who are morally wrong that she feels the need. Like, oh, the world's not going to be too mad that they died. Like, once again, these are, they're somewhat shitty people, but they're not like the, like, salt of the earth shitty people. I'm probably using that phrase wrong. Let's scorched earth, like they're terrible, terrible human beings. I think scorched earth would probably be a better metaphor in that regard. I always feel like I use salt of the earth wrong. I have to look into that, like, and see if I'm ever using that phrase right. But either way, turns out our boy Dennis ended up saving Ocean's life. And it's like, right, if I let him die, I would have had his blood on my hands. But because I saved his life, everything's actually good now. We actually ended up talking. He's actually not big on swimming because he doesn't want to show off his body because everyone would see the burns on his body, and it's from his dad being a right wanker, which I'm like, wow, that was sad. But it's like, oh, they actually bonded. They're actually kind of friends now. So it's like, right, you don't have to do that. Also, Ocean gave me this money, which obviously was in his pocket and he was in water, but he gave this money back to me, so here I'm giving it back to you. So yeah, it's all good. We're good. And it's like, no, I was set up to do this job. You put me in this position. It's like, well, I mean, I get it because it's also like, right, now that Ocean's still alive, it negates any reason why Dennis would have to keep her secret about Sandy. I get that notion. I'm assuming that's Elvira's. I mean, what it really comes down to is she got blue-balled, and she's pissed about being blue-balled. It's like, that was supposed to be mine, and you took it away from me, which then Dennis is like, oh, you actually like killing people. You're a monster. And it's like, oh, and it shows him the obituary. I love that, for comedic purposes, had to have the wrong one pulled up. But I mean, it's like, hey, she's taking it serious, because even Huey was like, I don't care if even if someone wants us to write an obituary for a chair, as long as we're getting paid, do it. So she was in the middle of, she wrote one for Rocco, but I thought she was going to write one for Dennis, but it's like, well, Dennis did, like, come to you first to try and kill him. So it's like, who does he care about most? His mom. So I will come after your mom if you don't. And I'm like, oh, I left this space blank because I don't know how she'll die. I usually don't find that out until, the moment of. And yeah, he's going on about her being a monster, and she's like, I'm not. And it's like, so she scared Dennis into silence. She also won't have to kill him now either, so two birds, one stone. Granted, she still didn't get, once again, she was edged and blue-balled because she didn't get to actually get her kill now. So, but once again, the dominoes of, she brought up, like, okay, because I was so focused on you, I wasn't there for my dad. But also, as we find out later on, because Dennis saved Ocean's life, he had a change of heart. He wanted Mal to get rid of some of that stuff that's in the room, the stuff that she's kind of like snatched and stolen, definitely over the years, because there's one particular item that's from a couple years ago, but we'll get to that soon enough. So he ends up bringing Huey the rifle. That he fished it out. We have no idea how long ago him and his friend fished the rifle out, but this is the one that had something to do with Maria's death, because Emerson did say, like, wait, Huey and Ward both lied to me. What did Huey lie to him about when it came to Maria? I don't remember. I know what Ward lied to him about because that's relevant to this episode, but I don't remember what Huey lied to him about. But now Huey's getting a gun, so now I'm also like, wait, was Huey in the know about this? Does he know about what happened? And because you'd assume, like, Ward worked alone to get rid of it, but I mean, it is a lot of a cover-up, so nah, because, like, Elvira working there would mean, like, why would he keep her that close? Especially because we ended up finding out Elvira has what was used to be Maria's old job. Apparently she did it, like, through a pseudonym and everything, but she used to write the obituaries until she kind of had, like, 7 years ago or something like that. She had, like, fear and just kind of, like, mortality got the best of her, and she started questioning her mortality, and so she ended up going on vacation, but basically coming back and she had quit. So I guess not many people know that she wrote the obits. Because the only reason Elvira put it together is because she recognized the same style of writing in the obituaries she wrote under the pseudonym and the books that she wrote. So, like, Huey eventually giving her murderer, her former job makes me go like, I don't think he would do that intentionally. So even if it favored to Ward, so it was like, why does he have the rifle now? Like, what is that about? Not unless we find out some situation of. So it feels like we're leaning. Now I'm kind of questioning it, but for the most part, I'm like, let's say 70-80% sure Elvira ended up killing Maria in whatever state she was in and her dad covered up. But what do we end up finding out? That because this state Elvira was in, she can't remember, she was actually framed. Like, what if someone else, like Huey, ended up killing Maria and then, like, framed her, and Ward and did everything to protect his daughter and has been keeping that secret because he thinks she did it when in actuality she didn't. So it's kind of like you basically got someone else to do the dirty work for you, covering up because they believe someone they cared about was responsible. That's a possibility. That leaves me like 20 to 30% like leaning towards like maybe there's something else. That possibility in itself, I don't know. Like I'm spitballing here, I'm throwing that out there, but that was just me kind of theorizing. I don't think that'll end up being the case. Because I was like, why would Huey hire her? It's like, not unless it was meant to be a thing of keeping her close, but like all these years later, why? So that's why I'm like, it has to be a situation of it's unrelated, but like, why would he need the gun? What is he doing? Like, what would be the purpose of that? Not unless the gun is specifically his and it potentially could have tied him to the murder or something. But yeah, like I said, once again, the domino effects of because Dennis saved Ocean, now Huey has the gun. It's just like I said, that's just going to be that thing that kind of stacks up against Elvira. Just kind of like, once again, the choices made that even when you follow through on this situation, it still kind of blew up in your face because someone else had a change of heart, and that kind of put you in a complicated spot. So we'll see how that all plays out. But Emerson ends up talking to Clive about the report he got about, okay, they have a report basically showing what the police have on Daniel, Maria's wife, and like what they're gonna like charge him with and stuff. But because he's about to publish a book that Maria had wrote, but they were about to get divorced before they died, and because of that he does have the rights to it, but that was kind of in contention. So now he's able to kind of publish the book and get like all the royalties and money off of it, and yada yada yada, so on and so forth. So they're kind of showcasing like that is his potential motive. But then Clive calls up Daniel. It's like, wait, was this whole thing not even about proving that Daniel was the killer? It was about proving he wasn't? I was like, are you even after the real killer? Like, but Clive is like, no, I talked to the guy because he's going through chemo. When you're dying, like, you're going to be a little more honest. I was like, well, we know Sandy lied. To be fair, he did go into chemo. He went into didn't he go into no. Or did he? I can't remember. If it's a situation, I'm actually blanking now. Because he wasn't sick. So I think the whole thing was he was never sick, or he did go into remission. Because the whole point was like, the story was he was in remission the whole time, or no, that he could have gone at any moment, but it's like, no, he was in remission, and they just kept up the story like he was still sick, just holding on, that it could be any day now type of situation. Once again, it's my own fault for there being such a massive gap between me watching episode 1 and episode 2. And obviously this episode. But, so either way, my point was like Daniel could be lying, but Clive believes him, and so if you got your dead man, why would you have anything to hide? So he admits like, no, like I didn't kill my wife, and Clive believes him, and it's about finding the real. It's like, yes, I lied to manipulate to get you here, Emerson, and I lied to you about what the job was going to be, but at the end of the day, there is someone out there who killed Maria, and that should be kind of motive enough. Put your pride aside for the lies and manipulation, and just see, for the fact is, this is what happened, and this is you got to find the person who did it. I'm assuming Clive dies in the episode because the money that Elvira ends up paying Dennis to pay to Ocean, I think she had said like a former reporter had died, and she had already written up Clive's obituary and let him see it and everything. So he only had like a couple days left. He was even asking Elvira to kill him, but Clive hadn't done anything, wasn't a bad person, so she never felt the need to. once again, it's that thing of, well, maybe he wouldn't have been there to reveal the truth to Emerson, and maybe Emerson would have gone on like putting it all towards Daniel. Who knows if they would have ever met, but it's because of the work Emerson did. It's like, right, now him and Daniel actually meet and they talk. So he kind of implies like, right, there was rumors about like, oh, you pointed the rifle at her, you weren't the greatest of husband, like you put your hands on her, which he's like, right. He even says like, I wish my wife wasn't remembered for what I did, like the mistakes I made before she died. So I think maybe there was some truth to those rumors and stuff. But either way, he's claiming not to have killed her. We also found out how Maria died. Maybe that came up before. I was like, geez, I didn't realize she was shot. We knew that she died, but I wasn't expecting her. She was shot by a rifle. And she was left in the area that it still took like a couple days for the police to actually find her. I forgot what the reasoning was, like they were able to find her in the first place. It was almost not, I don't think it was complete happenstance, but it was like her body was, I think it was specifically because it was winter and stuff like that. It made it harder to find her body. So like, once again, they didn't find her body until like 3 days later. But we found out some interesting details about Maria's circumstances. One, it's like around the time that night she died, she got into a fight with Mallory, which Emerson's like, right, I already talked to Mallory about it. That's probably why he started talking to her in the first place, was about the case. But then it turns out Mallory had actually lied. It turns out that the reason why they got into a fight wasn't because she was accused of stealing a drink from Maria. It's because Maria accused her of stealing her purse. It's like a very like orange purse or whatever, which we do later on see in that room of stolen goods that Mal has. But like the reason why Daniel knows this is because he heard it from Ward, because Ward was like blitzed one day and told Daniel this. So maybe he doesn't even remember that he told Daniel that. So it's like, right. So Mal claimed that she never had any, whether or not it was a small scuff or whatever the case may be, she lied about having never interacted with Maria at all. And obviously, once again, Ward lied, and once again, we know why he lied, because he's trying to protect Elvira. I'd actually completely forgotten, like, once again, because of the gap in between episodes and stuff for me, I'm like, all right, like, obviously it's really leaning into Elvira and all, because she did the whole hunting thing. I forgot that was like the opening bits of like her getting older. Like, we know she's really good with a rifle. She's kind of proven herself when it comes to hunting as a child. We don't know if she still does it. I mean, well, she obviously does. Still hunts, just maybe not without a rifle, but she still does hunt. So those skills and instincts are still there. But she probably still hunted for a while with her dad, maybe up until everything 5 years ago, because they were like, right, the body was obviously moved because Maria wasn't killed where she was found, because the bullet went straight through. I forgot. Wait, why was that the reason why he was able to prove the body had been moved? I guess maybe I'm thinking like the area it was actually found wasn't the area she was actually found in, or well, maybe it's just because I think there was no, maybe because the way the wound was, there was no. I forgot. Like, she had been, maybe it was implying like she had been moved and then moved back. I don't remember, because he was like, right, the bullet was like a through and through, so I don't remember how Emerson came to the conclusion that the body had been moved. I don't remember that detail now. And obviously this ties into Ward's side of things, because he's at AA. He's been like obviously even that day he was still drinking, even when he showed up at AA, and he meets a woman named Jackie who calls him out. It's like, no, it hasn't been a couple days. I literally saw you drinking. The reason why I saw you drinking is because I was also drinking at the same time. So it's kind of like, wow, it's kind of sad. And like, I caught you in your vice because I was doing my vice as well. But it turns out Jackie actually broke her sobriety. She was sober for 3 years because there was a restraining order of sorts against her husband, who was abusive, who ended up that expired. Maybe it wasn't even a restraining order, because like, can those naturally expire? Like, do you have to re-up those every once in a while? Or because the thing she was saying, like, maybe because she didn't use the exact words restraining order, so I don't know if it might be a different thing in a similar vein. So maybe it's something that just has a limit. But yeah, she started drinking out the day of like that being up, and so Ward really resonated with her because she had. I'm blanking. She says something that really resonated with Ward, and it made him kind of start liking her. And you could tell Elvira was kind of happy because he probably hasn't like dated anyone since her mom died. So she was kind of happy, like, oh, you got someone in your life. That's nice. But either way, him and Jackie were going to try and keep each other sober. It's like, hey, we spend time together, and then we'll be able to stop drinking. Like, we'll keep each other honest, essentially. Because she was telling, the whole thing is that for her, I think the thing she had said to him during the meeting was like, just know that you can stop. And it's like, right, why do you drink? And he admits, like, right, there was someone I'm close with. I did something, they did something terrible. They don't remember, and I covered for them. And the whole thing sticks with me, and that's why I drink. As we figured as much. And he doesn't want to, tell this person the truth of everything, because it's like, right, they're in a good spot, which once again, he's completely unaware of all the killing that Elvira is doing. So it's ironic that you're trying to keep this secret because you think she's doing so good right now when she's out there doing so much bad. But yeah, like, he was kind of on cloud nine. He felt good having someone in his corner, like that. But it came all undone the moment he found out Jackie's husband kind of moved back in. Like, she went back to him, and now he's regretting it, wishing, he's like, oh, if I had done something sooner, maybe she'd still be with me right now and I'd be sober. Which Elvira is like, right, if I had just done something about this guy, like my dad kind of wanted something done, or if I had just done that, if I wasn't so distracted with Dennis, maybe my dad would be sober right now. And it's ironic you're so concerned about him and telling him to stop drinking that he can do it, but at the same time, it's like, you're actually the reason why he drinks. So it's quite the conundrum. And it's like, on some level, on some small, whether it's small or not, on some deep-seated level, it makes you wonder, does Ward on some level despise Elvira? But it's like, he's been it's self-destructive behavior, sure, but he'd rather self-destruct on his own than like drag his daughter down because he loves her. It's like, oh, you made a simple mistake, and yeah, it might be haunting me, but you're a good person, you're a good girl, good head on your shoulders, so it was all worth it in the end. But it makes you wonder, does he kind of resent her, thinking like, yeah, if it wasn't for you, I would be having a better life, I would be better off, things would be better for me in general if you hadn't done what you've done, if I didn't have to cover for you. So like I said, it's just, I'm sure there's layers of complex feelings stacked on top of it. But maybe there's not even that selfish bone in his body. Maybe it's like, I'll make that self-sacrifice because I'm a parent. That's what a parent does for a child. And I love you so much that I would do anything for you. So I'm willing to make this sacrifice, and I have no regrets about it, despite my self-destructive nature. Once again, I'm willing to self-destruct in order to kind of spare you. So I'm curious where that really that line toes for him, whether it is like, whether there's any part of him that kind of resents Elvira for all of this, or is there just not a bone in his body that feels that way. It's definitely going to be interesting to see where the next episode ultimately ends up taking us going forward with all of this. But really, that's all I want to talk about. So the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day, and goodbye.